Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. This is the Q&A with Boxing Nuke, so let's wait no further. The first question comes from El Chapo, Ibfp. Why do people keep saying Loma is a problem against Mikey? I think it's just a lot of people rate Lomachenko very highly. Lomachenko does have very good fundamentals and skill sets, and so I can understand why people would think that he would be better than Mikey Garcia or anyone in his division in 135. But for me personally, I don't believe he's that skilled enough to get past Mikey. I believe Mikey is too strong, too powerful. Lomachenko gets hit too much. And Mikey Garcia also has elite boxing ability. So it's not one way or the other. Mikey has the boxing ability plus the power. In my personal opinion, I believe Mikey Garcia would somewhat bully Vasily Lomachenko and possibly even stop him at some point in that fight. That doesn't mean the fight wouldn't be competitive. That doesn't mean Lomachenko wouldn't win rounds or could even possibly win. I just think that Mikey Garcia would be the heavy favorite coming into that fight, in my personal opinion. But let's get to the next question. The next question is from Marcus Garcia. I'm a huge David Benavidez fan. I think he should come back and chase the WBC super middleweight strap since he never lost it in the first place, or challenge Zudo Ramirez for the WBO strap. What do you think, Boxing Nuke? Great question, Marcus. I honestly think the biggest fight for David Benavidez would be a Zudo Ramirez fight. But basically, when he had an opportunity to sign with Top Rank, when he was a part of their stable, he immediately left and went back to the PBC. So until he actually changes sides, I don't really see him getting that fight right away. And I think he'd look for a tune-up first before jumping right back into things. But that's an excellent question. I think a Zudo Ramirez, David Benavidez fight would be an amazing matchup. I would personally love to see that. The next question comes from Ricardo Lopez. Have you seen any prospects with real future in boxing that we can check out? What's the first thing that comes to mind about women's boxing? And what's your favorite weight class? All fantastic questions, Ricardo. Any prospects? There's so many great prospects right now. Teofimo Lopez. You also have, Daniel Dubois. You also have, Josh Kelly. Let's see who else we have. We just have so many. Anthony Sims Jr. I'm very high on him. He's very impressive. It's just so many young guys that are really impressive. You have Ryan Garcia. You can't count him out. And so there's so many young guys that are really impressive that's shown a lot of potential. And, I just can't wait to see them all. But the next question from Ricardo was, what's the first thing that comes to mind about women boxing? Is, a lot of people don't realize that, but if you watch women boxing, women are warriors. And I think that'll probably be the first thing that come to mind. Warriors. They're true warriors. And I look at someone like Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, Amanda Serrano. Those are all top tier elite level boxers. And they don't get enough attention, but all of their fights are always entertaining and highly, highly competitive. I think sometimes women boxing gets overlooked, but it's always enjoyable when you watch those three ladies fight. What's my favorite weight class? I wish I could tell you. Honestly, I think it's a three-way tie between 147, 160, and heavyweight. I mean, those are the three, hottest weight classes right now, and they just happen to be my three favorite. They all have something different to offer. And I just think that they're all filled with different superstars, from Anthony Joshua, Wilder, Fury, and then in the middleweight, you have Jacobs, Canelo. And then welterweight, you have Thurman, you have Crawford. You have big names in every division that makes everything possible and makes the divisions and weight classes very, very exciting. But that's a fantastic question, Ricardo. I really appreciate it. The next question is from Manuel Dejaro. What up, Nuke? Can I get a Canelo versus Crawford breakdown and who wins? Oh, well, Manuel, we basically already broke that down. Go check out the video. That's an excellent question. The next question is from Maldonado. Is it just me, or are the LDPC, Dante, and Egos homosexually obsessed with Wilder because they can't stand any criticism towards him? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The reason why they can't stand any criticism towards Deontay Wilder is because they're promoting a narrative. And whenever you have to stick to a narrative of pumping up a fighter, trying to make him seem as good as he is, the reason why they pump up Deontay Wilder so much is because they don't like Eddie Hearn. And so since they don't like Eddie Hearn, they try to bash Anthony Joshua and pump up Deontay Wilder like it hurts Eddie Hearn, which makes zero sense. All these guys are PBC fanboys, and they pretty much hate anything that's not the PBC. They do not like Eddie Hearn, and basically, Boxing Eagle will report on, Anthony Joshua tied his shoelaces today. He's going to lose to Wilder. That's the type of stuff that they report on. It's all biased. It's all crap. And it's just, you have to understand that these guys just want their guy to win, even when they're wrong. And that's what's going to ultimately have their crowd look outside. Because if you're new to boxing and it's your first time in boxing, or being a casual fan, and you see these guys, you think everything is the truth. So it may take them a while to realize that, hey, these guys are full of crap. They don't even know anything about boxing. But that's an excellent question. I appreciate it, Maldonado. The next question is from Frankie Gallegos. After Loma's disappointing performance, does Tank Davis beat Loma? As of right now, I see Tank winning by knockout. I think that Loma still may be too skilled for Tank. I still think that he could probably get around Tank. And the only reason I say that is because Tank's so undisciplined. Tank, he doesn't have a good mind. He hangs out with Adrian Broner. Those type of guys, I can't put much faith and much stock into. Now, I think that if Tank caught Loma, he could put him to sleep, absolutely. But I think that Tank could have a hard time finding Loma. I think I still would favor Lomachenko at this point, but not by too much, because I feel like if Tank were ever to get disciplined, if he were ever to take the sport serious, and he was consistently fighting on a regular basis, then I would say, hey, he has a good chance. But there's been times where I've seen Tank, he just all he has is a big punch at times. But I do think that would be a very good fight, and I would love to see it. Thank you very much, Frankie. The next question is from SwizzKid316. Why is it so hard for people to give Canelo the credit he deserves, man? And also, what do you think he needs to do to shut up everyone once and for all? And that was 2 questions. Thank you, SwizzKid. Basically, what Canelo needs to do, well, I guess the first reason why it's hard for people to give Canelo credit is honestly because, they're promoting that same narrative. I hate to say it. If Canelo Alvarez was with, different promoters, if he was with the PBC or any of these guys, all this fake bias new media would probably be pumping up Canelo. But since he's not, and he doesn't fit their narrative or what they want, then basically they're always going to go against him until it suits their need. So when Canelo was fighting Triple G, they hated Triple G, so they rode with Canelo. Now that Triple G's out of the way, they're going to ride with whoever to put above Canelo. Basically, the one fight I would love to see happen is Jermall Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez, and that'll pretty much shut up and stop all the hate. In my opinion, I believe Canelo Alvarez could possibly even stop Jermall Charlo, and I think that would silence all the critics, but they would just try to find someone else to pump up. So maybe the hate will never stop. Who knows? But hate means you're doing something right. So it is what it is. All right. And the next question is from Leonel Casado. Someone here asked about Canelo not getting his proper credit, and the truth is that the boxing world hates Oscar, and that's a reason there. They think his career was given to him. Impressive resume, actually, not Canelo's fault. His skill set is far superior. And that's actually a very good comment as well. A lot of people don't like Oscar De La Hoya nowadays, and so people use that against Canelo. And also, when you're sitting at the top and you're the cash cow, you're the biggest name in the sport, everybody's gunning for you, you're going to get a lot of hate. Look at Anthony Joshua. Let's just use Anthony Joshua for an example. Everyone hates on Anthony Joshua. Literally all the biased media hates on Anthony Joshua. Everyone has a negative thing to say about Anthony Joshua, yet he's the biggest star in Europe. Canelo's get all this hate, and yet he's the biggest star in North America, period. So you have to understand that the biggest star is going to probably catch the most hate. But those are great questions and answers. The next question comes from Kurt Santos. Keep up the good work, IBFP. You're not biased. You call it like it is. Remember, these other reporters are getting some kind of money or favors to cover them or talk in their favor. You're absolutely right. Guys let money or their subs motivate them, but at the end of the day, if we're 100% honest and we're calling it down the middle, then we can admit when we're wrong, we can admit when we're biased, and we can move past that so we can be 100% unbiased. We can be real and objective about it, and that's what everybody wants at the end of the day. Thank you very much. The next question comes from D. Jefferson. Okay, Bivol, Teofimo Lopez, Daniel Dubois, Ryan Garcia. I believe these guys can all be trouble for boxing. Bivol is already proving this is true. Can you do a post on this? I actually will do a post on these guys. These guys are fantastic. Ryan Garcia and Dubois especially. I think I've already touched on Teofimo Lopez. And I'll tell you what, all these guys have really good skills, and I think they're going to be the next wave of superstars. Great question. The next question comes from Tell It As It Is. Basically, he was responding to Manuel Dejaro. Crawford is a small welterweight. Canelo has a very good chin. And basically, he said he's a cheat. Why would Bud fight someone weighing 165 pounds on the night? Leave the matchmaking to the promoter. So I don't know if this is a question in regards to Terence Crawford fighting Canelo, but that makes no sense. These guys are too far apart in weight classes. For the simple fact that Canelo Alvarez basically has stated that he's not going below 160, and the fact that Bud Crawford cannot move up to 154, he just does not have the size for it. Okay, and the next question is from Gentle Uprising. What's up, Boxing Nuke? I love your channel and I agree with you on most things, but I also appreciate the fact that we can agree to disagree and that you don't resort to blocking people that don't agree with you, like Boxing Ego. I call him Bias Ego. My question is for you, sir. Who has Triple G fought besides Canelo Alvarez? What elite opposition has Golovkin faced besides Canelo? With all due respect, I truly believe Triple G has been hyped up to be this unbeatable force that runs through any and everything. He was unable to drop Canelo and look bad against Jacob. Also, what makes you think Loma would get stopped by Mikey? In my opinion, Mikey is a one-dimensional fighter that relies on power more than anything else. Lomachenko is technically superior to Mikey and would be too much for Mikey to withstand. Great question, General Uprising, and I'll just go ahead and give it to you real. Triple G is a very good fighter. He's an elite level fighter, and he's shown that in pretty much every fight he's been in. And, you know, he's either knocked out all the guys that were average or subpar. And when he got to Daniel Jacobs, yes, he looked bad, but you have to understand you're not going to look the same against elite competition. And so when you see that, you know, Triple G goes against a Daniel Jacobs and he doesn't look the same, it's a difficult fight. The same as with Canelo. You have to understand that against Jacobs and Canelo, he looked bad in both of those fights, like we've never seen Triple G look, but he held his own, and both of them were close fights and competitive, regardless of how you had it scored. So at the end of the day, Triple G isn't a hype job. He can really fight. He's a very talented fighter, and we have to give him credit and respect. But at this point, I had to have Canelo and Danny Jacobs at the top of my list as far as the two guys that are running the middleweight division. But I do think that Triple G is a very good fighter. And the fact that he fought Canelo twice and Jacobs once, that's good enough for me to prove that this guy is a legit fighter. Whether he doesn't have to knock those guys out, because, you know, when you're fighting at a higher level and against elite competition, you're not going to look the same as when you're fighting bums. Ask Jamal Charlo. All right. And your next question was about Lomachenko. What makes me think that Loma would get stopped by Mikey? That's a good question. This is what makes me think Loma would get stopped by Mikey. You see, Lomachenko fought Jose Pedraza recently, and basically he took a lot of punishment and did not look good in that. And so you have to think about it like this. Triple G didn't look good against Danny Jacobs, as you quoted, Gentle Uprising. So if Triple G didn't look good against Danny Jacobs, an elite level competitor, but Loma didn't look fantastic against Jose Pedraza, what makes you think that? And that's not even the same level of competition. So you have to understand that Mikey Garcia is an elite level fighter who makes in-ring adjustments, who's a 4-division world champion. This man has skills. And I think that he would stop Lomachenko. I think that he could make Lomachenko look very bad at moments, just for the simple fact that he's going to be too strong. Lomachenko, according to Bob Arum, can't even move up to 140 pounds because he's too small. We all know that Mikey Garcia has proven power at 140 pounds. So that would be a huge obstacle for Vasil Lomachenko. Plus, Lomachenko was already dropped by Jorge Linares. And so Jorge Linares is not half the puncher Mikey Garcia is. All these things add up to me feeling that Mikey Garcia would just be too much for Vasily Lomachenko to handle. But that's a very good question. And the next question comes from Earn619. What does Josecito Lopez have to do to give Keith Thurman a competitive fight, and can he win? We'll answer that question first. I think Josecito Lopez basically needs to go to Keith Thurman's body, stick on the body the entire fight. Basically, since this is his first fight back, he may not be in the traditional shape that he normally is. So if you keep going to the body, that'll get him even more tired, wear him down. And you know Keith Thurman likes to move, so then that'll take his legs from under him by constantly going to the body. And I believe if Josecito does that and sticks to the game plan of going to the body, and we've seen Thurman hurt to the body before, stick to the body attack the entire fight, don't deviate from the game plan, I believe he'll be able to slow Thurman down in the later rounds and maybe get to him. But I think that's a very big if, because Keith Thurman is a very, very talented fighter, an elite level fighter. And so I just don't know how much of a chance Josecito has of being able to get him. But I think he could make it competitive and interesting and possibly win if he sticks to a relentless body attack. Great question. The second part of this question is, if AB shows up to fight, if he does, can he beat Pac-Man? And if he loses, is this the end for him? Don't see him. He's this hungry anymore. Got enough money. Now, if AB shows up to fight, in my opinion, I think he still loses to Manny Pacquiao. I just don't think that Adrian Broner, even at his very best, throws enough punches to compete with a Manny Pacquiao. I just don't. Manny Pacquiao, I believe, will overwhelm Adrian Broner, and I think Manny Pacquiao may just be the first person to stop him. Manny Pacquiao can be relentless. He looks rejuvenated, and I just think that Manny Pacquiao is going to be too much for Adrian Broner. But very good question. The next question is from Campos Vasquez. Bivol stated that he can make 168 easy. He wants the biggest fights at 168 and 175. Can he bring clarity to both divisions? Will he be given opportunities at 168 if he chooses to fight there? What do you see his success being at both divisions? I think that 175 right now is not a very entertaining division, because there's, you've already seen Kovalev lose, and he was arguably the biggest star there. So, it's just going to be hard for Bivol to get in a huge major fight to get a big payday. I think he could take over 175 without a doubt. 168 will be interesting because you have a lot of better fighters there at 168. You have Callum Smith, you have Jose Uzcategui, you have David Benavidez, and so you have some good fighters at 168 pounds. So that would be a more competitive division, and I think Bivol is a very talented and strong fighter, but I also think dropping down in weight will drain a little bit of that power. And also, the guys at 168 are talented and have a lot of good boxing fundamentals. So I think that would make for a very interesting round robin type of tournament if all those guys start mixing it up. But I don't think Bivol is head and shoulders above anyone to say that for sure he's going to win or could dominate any divisions. Great question, Campos. The next question is from Kurt Santos. I used to fight at the PAL when I was a kid, and I love boxing. I just want to know if there's anything that can be done about the judges in boxing. Out of every 10 fights, 7 are robberies. It's so bad that robberies are done in front of millions of people with nothing gets done about it. The only way sometimes the right fighter wins if he knocks the other guy out. You can't leave no fight to the judge's hand. Nowadays, it's sad to see fighters work hard to invest their life in a sport for a person that's never had to fight in their life to come and say he lost a fight when millions of people saw the wrong guy win. Now, I think there is something that can be done about that, and it all starts with holding these people accountable. And I think these state athletic commissions has to start holding these guys accountable, because, if you see a bullshit, decision, then every state athletic commission should have it redone again, or the sanctioning bodies for these belts. Someone has to start holding these people accountable. But that's a great question. The next question is from Slick Dude. What's up, Nuke? Slick loves the channel. I appreciate that, Slick. My question is, would you ever get in contact with one of the biased channels and do a live debate? Obviously about boxing for us all. classy, of course, if they can maintain their emotion. Great question, Slick Dude. If you guys want me to get in contact with any of these channels, I will do it. I had a question, I believe last time, about Dante's Boxing Nation. Well, Bias Nation is what I call it. About calling their phone line. If you guys want me to do that, if in the next poll I put out, if that's what you guys want, that's what I'll do. I'll debate him, I'll call him on his bias, and I'll point out specific reasons and times and dates where he's clearly hated on the best fighters and showed his bias. I'd be happy to do that for you guys, because you know what? This is the voice of the people. But that's a great question, Slick. The next question comes from Rigo Ediola. Should Floyd get a pass and not get criticized for fighting an MMA fighter, McGregor, and now a kickboxing lady boy in Japan? Because he's in his 40s. When Mosley fought him, Mosley was almost 40. Why is he not stepping up and fighting a Crawford, Spence, Thurman, Porter? I see the fanboys, bias, ego, and Dante's Bias Nation always praising Floyd for fighting these MMA fighters, and you're going to continue to see that, because these guys are promoting and pushing a narrative, and that's all they love to do. Floyd shouldn't get a pass for it, but unfortunately these guys are giving him one. Floyd Mayweather does not want to fight a real talented fighter, period. Also, when guys say, well, you know, Floyd is just trying to get these huge paydays, that's not true, because the biggest payday in the sport right now would be a rematch with Saul Canelo Alvarez, and you see there's no way in hell that Floyd Mayweather's interested in taking that rematch right now. Great question. The next question is from D. Jefferson. Basically, well, D, you pretty much wrote the longest question that I've ever seen on this forum, so we try to keep it short and concise. So I'll just, compact your question for you. Now, basically, he was stating that the Ibfp has it out for Derrick James' entire camp, basically stating that I'm biased against the Charlo brothers and Errol Spence, and he does appreciate the channel and the work that we do, but basically claiming if I'm unbiased, if we're going to be completely unbiased, why bash these three guys? That's a very good question, D. Jefferson, and I just want to respond to that by saying I never bashed the Charlo brothers and Errol Spence. I know a lot of fanboys come out, and not you, you're not a fanboy, but a lot of fanboys come out and say, oh, you're biased against these guys, you hate these guys. If you notice in every video that I've ever done on Errol Spence Jr. or the Charlo brothers, I always give these guys credit. I always say they're very good fighters, they're talented, they're entertaining, I like to see them, I like to watch them fight. I'm a fan of all fighters, but you have to understand that the entire reason for all of this is, my only thing that I have against these guys is that they're being hyped like they're the best fighters that we've ever seen, and yet none of them have any signature wins. If once these guys start getting signature wins, then at that point I'll give these guys all the credit and more of being the best in their respective divisions. As of right now, it appears that Errol Spence Jr. is avoiding Terrence Crawford, and as of right now, Jamal Charlo is not doing anything to make the Canelo Alvarez, to make the Danny Jacobs or the Demetrius Andre fights happen. He's not even going to the zone where all the belts are. So I can't really take him serious as wanting to be a part of the upper echelons of the 160 pounders. But that's a great question. Thank you very much. The next question is from Pixel Boy. Ibfp, what is next for Canelo if he beats Fielding? I honestly think that Danny the Miracle Man Jacobs is. Thank you for that question, Pixel Boy. And the next question comes from Marvin Williams. Why don't you ever give Errol Spence some credit on his boxing abilities? Well, let me just be 100% honest and unbiased. I believe Errol Spence Jr. is a moderate to good boxer. I don't think he's an elite level boxer, but I think he's a moderate to good boxer. Now, as far as head movement and defensive abilities is where I really have to be honest and unbiased about Errol Spence, is that he has a fundamental lack of head movement, and that is eventually going to catch up with you. If you do not move your head and you get caught time and time again, that is going to catch up with you. So yes, I will give Errol Spence his credit. He's an elite level body puncher. He does have good to moderate boxing ability, but his head movement is going to cost him because it is just not elite, and it's not even good at this point. I've seen him get hit so many times square on the chin by Lamont Peterson. If you go back, watch the fight, slow it down, turn the commentary off, and you'll see Lamont Peterson hit him on the chin over and over and over again. It's just, unfortunately for Lamont, he had no pop on those shots. he's not strong enough to hurt Errol Spence. But get a puncher in that's strong enough to hurt Errol Spence, and then you'll see what he's really made of. Thanks, guys. Once again, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.